Hello everyone, and thanks for listening today. This is the RX Daily Dose. Today's episode is being recorded for Monday, March 9th, and I'm your host, Ian Parnagoni. We update this podcast every week for healthcare providers, medical professionals, and anyone who has an interest in drug updates. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms and social media, including iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram. All links can be found in the show notes below. Today we'll be giving overview of new products approved by the FDA, including Sarclisa for multiple myeloma and Durysta, as well as new boxed warning put on the drug Singulair. And as always, we'll be doing updates later in the show about seasonal flu numbers in the US, as well as an update on coronavirus outbreak. First, on March 2nd, the FDA approved isatuximab, which goes by brand name Sarclisa, in combination with pomalidomide, which goes by brand name Pomalast, and dexamethasone. The combination of the two is commonly known as Pomdex, for the treatment of adult patients with multiple myeloma who have received at least 2 prior therapies, including lenalidomide and a proteasome inhibitor. Sarclisa, administered through intravenous infusion, is a CD38-directed cytolytic antibody that works by helping certain cells in the immune system attack multiple myeloma cancer cells. Multiple myeloma is a form of blood cancer that occurs in infection-fighting plasma cells found in the bone marrow. These cancerous cells multiply, produce an abnormal protein, and push out other healthy blood cells from the bone marrow. The disease may result in a weakened immune system and cause other bone and kidney problems. The National Cancer Institute estimates there would be 32,000 new cases of multiple myeloma and 13,000 related deaths in the United States in 2020. The FDA approved Sarclisa based on the results of a clinical trial involving 307 patients with relapsed and refractory multiple myeloma who had received at least 2 prior therapies, including lenalidomide and a proteasome inhibitor. Half of the patients received Sarclisa in combination with pomalidomide and low-dose dexamethasone, and the other half received only pomalidomide and low-dose dexamethasone. The efficacy of Sarclisa was based on progression-free survival, which is the amount of time a patient stays alive without the cancer growing. Patients who received Sarclisa in combination with pomalidomide and low-dose dexamethasone showed improvement in progression-free survival with a 40% reduction in the risk of disease progression or death, compared to patients who received pomalidomide and dexamethasone. These patients also had an overall response rate of 60.4%. In comparison, the patients who only received pomalidomide and low-dose dexamethasone had an overall response rate of 35.3%. Common side effects for patients taking Sarclisa were blood count irregularities, including anemia, neutropenia, lymphopenia, and thrombocytopenia, upper respiratory tract infections including pneumonia, diarrhea, and infusion-related reactions also occurred. With the side effects noted, if severe infusion-related reactions occur, the Sarclisa infusion should be permanently discontinued, and healthcare professionals should institute appropriate medical management. Healthcare professionals should also monitor a patient's complete blood count periodically during treatment, as well as monitor patients with neutropenia for signs of infection. Patients should also be monitored for the development of a second primary malignancy when taking Sarclisa. Sarclisa also received orphan drug designation from the FDA, which provides incentives to assist and encourage the development of drugs for rare diseases. Also this week, the FDA approved a new bimatoprost implant, which goes by brand name Durysta. It's indicated to reduce intraocular pressure, goes by IOP, in patients with open-angle glaucoma or ocular hypertension. Durysta is the first intracameral biodegradable implant that contains 10 micrograms of bimatoprost. In open-angle glaucoma, the angle of your eye where the iris meets the cornea is as wide and open as it should be, but the eye's drainage canals become clogged over time, causing an increase in internal eye pressure and subsequent damage to the optic nerve. It is the most common type of glaucoma, affecting about 4 million Americans, many of whom do not know they have the disease. Bimatoprost is a prostaglandin analog and works by reducing this pressure by increasing aqueous humor outflow that builds up over time. The FDA approval is based on results from two 20-month phase 3 studies evaluating 1,120 subjects on the efficacy and safety of Durysta versus twice-daily topical timolol drops in patients with OAG or OHT. In the studies, Durysta reduced intraocular pressure by approximately 30% from baseline over the 12-week primary efficacy period, meeting the predefined criteria for non-inferiority to the study comparator. Side effects of Durysta are specific to the administration and bimatoprost itself. The presence of implants has been associated with corneal adverse reactions and increased risk of corneal endothelial cell loss. Administration of Durysta should be limited to a single implant per eye without retreatment. Macular edema has been reported during treatment with ophthalmic bimatoprost. Durysta prostaglandin analogs, including Durysta, have been reported to cause intraocular inflammation. Durysta should be used with caution in patients with active intraocular inflammation because the inflammation may be exacerbated. Ophthalmic bimatoprost has been reported to cause changes in pigmented tissue, such as increased pigmentation of the iris. Many people report it as a change in color in your eye from whatever color you have now to a brown pigment. Pigmentation of the iris is likely to be permanent. Patients who receive treatment should be informed of the possibility of increased pigmentation. While treatment with Durysta can be continued in patients who develop noticeably increased iris pigmentation, these patients should be examined regularly. And finally this week, the FDA is strengthening existing warnings about serious behavior and mood-related changes with montelukast, that's brand name Singulair, and its generics, which is a prescription medicine for asthma and allergy. Singulair prescribing information already includes warnings about mental health side effects, including suicidal thoughts or actions. However, many healthcare professionals and patients are not aware of the risk. The FDA decided the stronger warning was needed after conducting an extensive review of available information from the FDA Adverse Event Reporting System, which included 82 unique cases of suicide and convening a panel of outside experts. Healthcare professionals are now advised to ask patients about any history of psychiatric illness prior to initiating treatment and consider the risks and benefits of montelukast when deciding to prescribe or continue patients on the medicine. For allergic rhinitis in particular, the FDA has determined that montelukast should be reserved for patients who have not adequately responded to other therapies. Providers should also advise all patients of the risk of neuropsychiatric events when prescribing montelukast. Warnings about these side effects are included in the existing prescribing information. All patients should be monitored for neuropsychiatric symptoms. And in the news from this week, an update for you on influenza and coronavirus. For the coronavirus, and these numbers are as of Sunday, March 8th, the coronavirus death toll rose to 3,661, 3,098 of which are from China, and the number of confirmed infections rose to 107,802 worldwide. 80,703 are from China. There are now 447 confirmed cases in the U.S., and 563 deaths outside of China from the virus. The big news from this week comes from Italy. The Italian government took some people are calling draconian measures to contain about 16 million people living in 14 provinces in the north of the country. For all these provinces, travel in and out will only be possible with authorization by the government. All schools and universities are closed, and all public places and gatherings are either closed or canceled. Italy, South Korea, and Iran have seen the largest jump in the number of cases. Italy, for instance, in the last 3 days alone, has added 2,794 cases to their totals. And for influenza this year in the US, the CDC now estimates that so far this season, there have been at least 34 million flu illnesses, 350,000 hospitalizations, and 20,000 deaths from the flu. 136 deaths have been reported in children. I put a link to the CDC Weekly Influenza Tracker where you can get more detailed updates on the virus. And that's all I have for this week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll include all links in the show notes below, so please go back and check those out too. Please connect with me on any of your social media platforms and give me feedback on what you heard today. I'd love to know what you thought about the episode. And as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. And thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Music by Joseph McDade.